Hey, Davey here. I want to show you something really cool before you end your weekend, your week basically. And I guarantee next week you will be using it on your code base. Check this. We're going to create a type. We're gonna call that user. And we're going to say that that user is just a string right there, okay? So here is a question for you. Could you create a user list, like a list of users, let's say a list of users, with at least, we're going to say with at least one user in the list. So that's the requirement here. So in TypeScript, the point there is to do that in TypeScript, to create that constraint in TypeScript. So most of people will go here and say, hey, let me create a list of users of type user. You put an array notation here, and then you just put an empty array here. However, this means that if you check that the length of that list, well, there is only one. There is nothing in there, none. So here is the way you could actually do exactly what is required here. You could go here, and instead of having the user outside here, you just put it inside instead. Now look what's happening. Now that we put it inside, it's complaining because it's saying, hey, you need to have at least one inside, okay? Which means that here, when you create a user, you can go here and then say, hey, I'm just gonna have one with Davey and gone right there, right? So that is one thing, but you could actually take it onto another level and say, no, I want actually two of them. See that? And then obviously you start adding you start adding a more user that way. But you could also go and say, hey, instead of only two, because here if I go and say I want to have a third one, you see, bam, let's say login like this, and then say mu, you see right there that it's still complaining because it's expecting two, and then we gave it three. So the way you fix it is just to go here and say, well, actually it's at least one. This is at least one or two. If I remove this, it means at least one, but then you can just add an array of user like this by saying at least one, and then you don't basically care of the many a number of users that will be added. But what you're saying there is, I want at least one user in that list. Well, this is actually not different than when you use, as you can see that syntax here, we're using like a spread operator. These are the things you can do with like normal programming, like in JavaScript, spread operator. And then here you're actually using TypeScript to reinforce that in your code base. Well, guess what? That's all I have for you before you go on the weekend. And I will see you next week with some really cool stuff. So if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. This thing is cool. And enjoy your weekend, or whenever you watch this. Subscribe, like it. Cheers.